budget. We don't have anything to present. We just want to get some of your input before we actually start putting it together and bringing it to you, if you have priorities. In marketing, we've got a couple. We've been talking about kind of a city mission statement, and so we're working on that. We've got a couple options, and Dr. Becker sent several today, if you got your email, but I made copies for everybody too, so she found several. And then our marketing agreement with Providence Realty expires this month, so we need to discuss what you want to do on that. So back to utilities. Council accepted the 10-year proposal from Waste Connections at the last council meeting and instructed staff to begin negotiating a contract with them. We've started doing that. Allison, we got an agreement from them, just a sample agreement that they sent in their packet. Allison reviewed that, had a lot of changes she wanted to make in there, so she got that to me today. I sent it over to them, and they're going to have their attorney look at it. So, don't know if, probably won't have it for the next council meeting, but I should have it for the first one in May. And they had talked about, if they're still willing, if council's ready to approve it May 1, they could start May 1 with the new rates and such. That's what they said initially, so we'll see if they're still open to that. If not, it'll be, our current one expires in June, so it'll be a month later, but we'll see what they have to say.
Council meeting's what, May 3rd?
I don't know
Something
which,
like May 3rd? In my mind, that so we approved it then.
It's
May 3rd.
May
Yeah,
3rd.
that's what I thought, so we could.
yeah, maybe start it a month early if we can. So what we did was I had asked Michelle and Jamie to kind of start working on some proposed rates and some thoughts based on some of our discussions. What we did, Michelle put together a staff report that kind of shows you some of the history that we, and some comparisons to what other cities have done. So in the top graph there is, you can see what our current rate is, and what the proposed new rate would be, and that shows you actual cost savings of what we would realize with the new fees that council approved. We looked at what other cities were being paid, or what Waste Connections was charging them, and that's the next graph. You'll see that we feel pretty happy that we actually came in lower than everybody else on what their agreements were, so we're paying less than the other cities for our trash, so that made us feel good.
Wow, I wonder why, that's quite a difference.
And so we knew we had a cost savings, and so also included in your packet was some information about a stormwater utility. And we know that there'll be a cost savings here in trash. We don't get very many complaints about trash fees, because when people look at Wichita, which is where we always get compared to, their water rates are lower than ours. There's just nothing we can do about that. But their trash is higher because everybody has to, either their neighborhood has to get together and sign an agreement, or you just call up whoever individually and charge. So their trash rates run in the $18 to more dollars a month. And they don't have recycling either. A lot of them, most of them don't. So, so fortunately we don't get a lot of complaints because we have lower trash rates. So what our thought is we've talked about this, and you see a staff report actually that Garrett had done a couple years ago. We've been kicking around the idea of a stormwater utility, creating that. And the reason being is that we are required by the federal government to have a stormwater policy in place, and we've got one. And there's certain things that we have to be doing. For example, the street cleaner. That's why we have a street cleaners, to keep as much as we can from getting in our stormwater systems. And there's certain things that we have to do to maintain that. The problem is we've never had funds to do that, so we'd have to take it out of the street fund or the general fund or somewhere. We've got a lot of infrastructure. If you think about Trib 7, which is kind of an old Bel Aire, it's just where all the drainage goes to, and it's kind of like a, right now it's kind of like a creek really, but it runs into the pond down there across from Dr. Burrow's office.
Which one is it? It's
Trib 7.
It's not the one by the fire
Quail
station?
Ridge.
Yeah, behind the fire station.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it runs
yeah.
clear down
Right,
through
okay,
there.
yeah.
Runs
And I
into
think
Quail
it
Ridge.
starts in our neighborhood,
It
Really?
probably
right
should.
on the
Starts
other
clear
side
up
of our
north.
dam, on the
Yep.
other side of 47th Street. When our pond runs over in Bel Aire Heights, it goes right down
Yeah,
in
I
that
think that's
stream behind
My
your
pond.
house.
Goes to my
Yeah, I
pond,
know
goes to
it,
Wade's
yeah.
pond.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then it goes on down there.
Wow.
So that's something that we have to maintain and mow and keep, things out of there. Culverts actually are part of the stormwater system. We've got on Rock Road up there by LaSalle Heights, we've got an old storm. You can't really call it a pipe because it's made out of wood. And it's rotting and starting to fall apart. And the public works folks are afraid that it's going to crash. We've actually had Swab Eaton looking at it and tell us we need to be doing something because it will, at some point when all the wood rots, it's going to fall in and we'll have this big hole there in rock that we're going to have to fix and replace. So again, where do we get that money? We take it out of the street fund, we take it out of the general fund. So that's why we thought, maybe this is a great opportunity so we could initiate this fund. And I think Michelle said we bring in at a $2 per month rate for individuals, we bring in 60-some thousand that we could
You
use.
talking about raising the property owner or taking it off of this water?
Yes, we take it off of so what we would do is we would reduce the fees for trash by $2. And then we'd implement a stormwater fee that's $2.
So they wouldn't see any
So
difference in payment?
customers wouldn't feel any different, but then we'd have this dedicated fund that we could start using for stormwaters.
Okay, I'm still lost.
Mhm.
You would leave the trash and the recycling as they are, but you take off the $2. Like they've built in to this 1272, a 95-gallon trash container now is $14.75
That's
on the
what-
water bill, and you take off $2 for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You're not gonna create and have taxpayers pay $2 or $4 for this fund?
No.
Okay.
Because we knew that we had a savings of what we have to pay Waste Connections. So obviously, we thought you could lower it.
Yeah, but this way
but
they're already paying.
we don't, like I
Yeah,
said, we
but
don't
if
get
they watched
complaints.
Channel 7 at the council meeting and people said, oh, that's gonna make our trash thing go down lower,
Well-
they remember that, they're gonna come back and say, why isn't this lower?
Well, because Ty said that we're gonna take that $2 and put it into the stormwater and not charge them for the stormwater.
Well, he said that
once.
now, but he didn't say it at the council meeting.
Well, he had thought of this probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
we
we've
just
gotta
knew.
put out a letter that we're leaving the trash, or, I'm all for leaving the trash and stuff the
I'm
way
for
it
getting
is.
those stormwater.
But I
things
definitely
fixed.
think a letter needs to be going and explain to the customers that their trash is we're charging them $14.92, but we're also taking off $2
Yes.
so that they don't get confused, because that was discussed at a council meeting and I know several people heard that.
Sure, yep.
We put it in the water bill each month until we do it. You know what I mean, like a little flyer. I always read mine.
Yeah, and that's part of what that's another thing we have to do with for our stormwater permit, is we have to do educational
Right.
things for that. So we would we would talk about the value and the importance of stormwater, and that we're creating this to address some of these concerns we have, and we're doing it at no cost to taxpayers actually, because we were able to negotiate a better price on our trash.
I have, you could get maybe pictures of that one that's rotting.
Yeah.
That we could actually show the public. Because
Yep.
I don't know, a lot of people go up to like say, or all of that, you know what I mean? Like,
It's too trashy.
you what? Oh, I don't say that to you. Well, because when I was taking my kids around to show them the new houses, for my class, like a lot of them had not even been over to see that. So I don't know how many citizens, it might be good to say, look at this, it needs fixed, and
Yeah, we can do that. And then another project we talked about is Eagle Lake, that it's silting in.
oh yeah.
And we need to do some engineering and probably dredge that out.
Could this money be used for that too?
Yep, yep.
Great.
So really, you can be used for curb and guttering. So if we got curbs that we need to replace, we can use it for that. We can use it for any type of drainage systems, culverts, those types of things. And like I said, we haven't been really doing anything to these because we're taking money out of streets or somewhere else to address those. So we have a lot of needs out there. We just didn't know where we were going
I
to
think
pay
it sounds
for
like a great
Me
idea.
too.
Okay, great.
And I think people will be happy. I mean, they aren't gonna, we're still using the same trash provider. They don't have to change out their trash cans or anything. And we'll end up benefiting the whole city without charging the taxpayers any more
And we'll see
money.
an increase.
Yeah, one question I had is, I know some people in Bel Aire have waste management, trash and recycling. To my knowledge, we've never had that. How did they get those cans? Because we've always had Waste Connections since Stutzman sold.
Right, right. One thing I could think of is we don't require everyone to have waste connections. So someone could choose waste management.
I have two people on
or-
my cul-de-sac that choose them.
I think they just
Yeah,
got
but they're
those
getting
trash
charged.
cans.
Your trash cans say Waste Management, correct?
I don't know, I don't look at them, I just
Oh.
put the trash in.
I think they have some old trash
I
cans they got
think
from
they
somebody
bought
else
some
because
from Waste Management.
I think so
because
too. Yeah.
They're
I
getting
have a different
charged on their
trash
water
truck
bill
coming
'cause
down
I
my
saw it.
street.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they did, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't ever
That seems
remember
odd.
having Waste Management.
Yeah, and my,
Stutzman
But
came,
no,
did
but-
you?
Well, the Waste Management sent flyers around to everybody not too long ago. And it was within 55 cents of
Right.
what they're paying
I
now.
got one.
And so, some people may have said,
I have a guy catty corner
Yeah,
that
but they
has
have
them.
it on their water bill. We don't bill
No.
for that.
It's not on their water bill.
It's on
Not
the
everybody.
website for it.
Not everybody has to have their trash on their water bill.
Right, but
So they
if
pay it
they have,
separately.
if they're, what I'm saying is, some people in Bel Aire have Waste Management, trash and recycling. It comes out on their water bill.
Right.
And when we voted on this, we voted on Waste Connections, and that was the company we've had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we're staying with them, but they're just giving us more
So you have a good point. The people
freebies. So
that
how do
don't
they
go with
get
that-
Waste Management trash cans, but they're billed on Bel Aire water bill?
Not everyone's built on Bel Air water. If
Well,
you don't have
I
a-
know
Let me
that,
say
Peggy,
this, you
but
guys.
they have,
the
This
recycling
lady-
fee is mandatory,
Right,
correct?
recycling.
has
Yes.
a Waste Connections trash can, and she has a recycling trash can. And I went over to her house, her name, well, we're not supposed to say names, and I said, let me see your water bill. And she is charged on the Bel Aire water bill, but she has those Waste Management connection, those trash containers.
let
I
me say,
have Waste Connections. The only thing I could explain to her is I thought maybe Waste Connections at one time bought trash and recycling carts from Waste Management and delivered them to her house.
I would
Because
doubt
I
that.
didn't
If
believe
they-
it.
well, let me say
If they bought
this.
it out, they'd have bought out one of the small ones, because Waste Management is.
Well, I
just-
meant not their company, but that bought trash cans from them.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Just let me say this, please.
Okay.
On my cul-de-sac, I always watch when they come and get the trash because I want to make sure they don't drive on my driveway, not even a little bit. And they pick up all the trash in our cul-de-sac, okay? My neighbors have trash cans. I think they've recycled the trash carts somehow because some of them say Waste Management and some of them say Waste Connections, and they're all picked up by the same trash cup.
Yeah,
Trash
that's what I'm
truck.
saying.
I mean, I have watched this for years now,
Huh.
and I've thought, why do these trash cans have different logos?
Come
And
separate.
today I got another one because I stopped using my trash can for a while in the winter because I don't have but one little bag of trash every week, and I got it back today because spring's here, and it's patched, literally.
Oh,
It is
gosh.
patched. It is not a new trash container. It's a patched, recycled trash container. So I think they're getting trash containers wherever they can.
That's weird.
You know,
I'll ask them
Well,
if
Becky-
they do
Well,
that.
it doesn't make any difference, but I
No,
just,
but you have a good
Trash
point.
container
I couldn't understand
manufacturer
it.
here in
But
the
she's got a
county.
good point. If
Yeah.
they're getting billed, okay, let's say there's another company and they're getting billed, she has a good point. We won't be able to recoup that $2 from them.
If it's on their Bel Air water bill, you
Everybody
will.
would get all residents would get the.
Okay, okay. Well, because you had a good point, because if my neighbor, catty corner, does not use Waste Connections, they have another company, and it comes a different day, and they are not billed on their water bill.
Right.
They're billed
So
through
theirs
that
would go up
company.
the $2.
Yeah.
then.
Theirs would have to go up the $2. Okay, I
But
just
it's
am
like
saying
the-
that's a good point you
Yeah,
made.
that
Yeah,
is-
but it's like the
But they-
recycling, everybody has to pay, even if they got
Exactly.
waste
Right,
management, they
right.
still have to pay our recycling.
Right, they all pay. I love our recycling.
They have to
Thank
do the
you, whoever did
recycling,
that.
but
Yeah.
like,
I
I
love
looked
it.
at her trash cans and I couldn't believe it. It said waste
Well, we need
management
to-
on it.
that's
And-
we have a
Interesting.
mishmash of trash cans on our street. They don't even look alike, some of them, but the same truck picks
Picks
up
it
the
all up.
trash. all
That's
of it,
interesting.
you
See,
know.
mine's different trucks.
Yeah.
I'll do some checking on that, because if that's the case, in our agreement says that they will provide these, and if they're actually using others, maybe we could ask them, please use all Waste Connection.
Well,
They're gonna be
it's
picking
just
them
kind
up.
of confusing.
It
I
is
don't
kind
care.
of
I mean, I've
strange.
noticed this for quite some
My
time.
neighbors.
And
Well,
I didn't really care. I just thought, well, they must have gotten some trash cans from somebody else. They're recycling.
That's smart, they're recycling.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, but give
Yeah.
us good trash cans, not
Yeah.
beat up ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say that everybody's in agreement that we just keep the rates the same and use the $2
Yeah.
we're saving, part of the money we're saving, $2 and putting it into the stormwater utility.
Okay.
We all agree to that?
So
I
the
agree.
fee
It's a
schedule will
great
come
idea.
back
Yes,
separately,
thank
right?
you.
Put that on there.
I
Um,
do.
What about
What we'll
commercial?
have to do is, we'll have to create a ordinance that council approve, because it's a new, you know, like water, sewer, we have different funds for that. So we'll bring an ordinance to you to create that, and then it will go into that. And the good thing about that is then it can only be used for stormwater projects.
Which is good.
So we couldn't take it out of there and use it for a sewer project or something like that. So that way citizens are guaranteed the money
I
they're
like
paying
it.
is going for.
And then you will propose a letter to put in the water bill
Yeah.
when this goes into effect
Yeah,
to let
yeah.
the people know.
Well, and I think it would be a good idea because, I mean, you know, when you said that in one of the council meetings, I didn't know we could get a smaller trash can. I mean, I had that great big trash can, I could
Oh, I'm
go.
ready to go back to the big one, but I don't want a
Well, it's-
junky one.
Well,
No telling what you'll get.
I fill it up now when I'm clipping down
Yeah.
If
yard
you
stuff
call them,
and
they'll
what
bring
have
you.
you, but.
Mine had a big hole after winter from the ice and
Uh-huh.
it broke. And they brought me like the next day a brand new one. So if you call them, Ramona, they'll bring you another
Well,
one.
mine had a big hole too, and it looks like I might have gotten one back with a
probably got
hole in
mine.
about the same place because it literally has a
Moved
patch
around.
on
You
it.
got mine.
It looks
They're
like
recycling
it
it.
looks like they took a great big huge piece of duct tape and pasted it on there. Well, mine was like that too, you know,
They put
before I got
yours
rid of it.
away and fixed it for you.
Yeah.
Because they knew you
They're
were
being
attached.
resourceful, recycling.
Well, they gave me one, it didn't have a wheel on it. And I thought, how am I gonna get that down the road?
Yeah, I think they're
It's funny.
getting trash
Right.
containers wherever they can.
Well, that could be,
yeah,
because the
maybe they-
businesses.
Because they have most of the cities in the county, when we
Uh-huh.
were checking, they cover most of them.
Well, they don't care if their
Well-
logo's on the trash can.
Once they got it in their head, they realized it was a good business plan.
Yeah.
But it took a little bit of snarky nastiness to get
We don't
there.
want any reports from that guy, he's
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah, yeah.
Should we talk about the budget, 2017?
Yes. So really, all we wanted to do tonight on the budget, a legislative update. I'll let Michelle, she's kind of works with the league on the finance stuff, but basically did move it up. The lid was to go into place 2018, they moved it up to 2017. They left some exceptions in there, which would be beneficial to us. But I don't think, it hasn't been totally approved yet.
It's not finalized yet. I don't
Yeah, so,
Nobody knows what the
They
final
don't go
product's
back
gonna look
till
like.
the
They keep
27th.
changing.
They're out of
Yeah,
session
they keep
till
changing the
27th.
exceptions and.
right.
Well, and REAP has been working, I know, and there's been a lot of underground stuff going on because they asked REAP even to back off a little bit. I talked to Carolyn a little bit when she was here at the chamber meeting. I mean, didn't start off talking about that, but, you know, she was the one who actually introduced the first amendment, if you want to call it that, or whatever.
The exemption for public safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the change to it. And so she has been kind of looking for a voice of reason. So, you know, and she's still looking. She was interested to know what was going on and that kind of thing, because a lot of the things that are in there are just stupid.
They did take off the one for industrial revenue bonds, which is not good for cities like Bel Aire that have exempt property coming back on the tax rolls. Initially, they were going to allow us to exempt that out of the calculation, and now they're not. So all we can do is wait and see what they come up with and then try to make it work. So
Does
it'll be
anybody know where we
interesting.
stand on star bonds? We can't give those anymore, right?
I don't think they're finalizing any applications. I know you can probably still start the process, but they're
Yeah.
not approving any actual districts right
remember.
now.
I don't remember what was going on that. 'cause
There's
there
a
was
few
some-
cities that are kind of in limbo with
They
Yeah.
just wanted to take it out, I thought.
Yeah, and then the governor wanted it in for a project he was doing, and I think that got vetoed, I think. And I'm not sure where they're on the star bond stuff, because that was back and forth.
Yeah, none of it is finalized
Yeah.
yet. So.
I think they're getting nervous because an election's coming up.
Yeah,
And, you know, it's starting to catch up with them. People
Yeah.
are starting to figure out what's going on up there.
yeah. And the difficult part about this tax lid is that it's not tied to mill levy, you know, it's tied to your revenues.
dollars.
And so for us and other cities that were really growing, we're bringing in much more revenue because, well, like last year we had 100 new houses. So you add that to our assessed valuation, well, they're paying taxes, the same mill levy that we paid last year, but it's just more revenue for us. But they want to cap the revenue, which makes it's almost counterproductive to economic development.
It is, absolutely.
And so
I don't know what they're thinking.
I've raised the argument, and it doesn't seem to be relevant.
Because, you know, you add, after over a couple of years, you add 500, 1,000 new people, you may have to think about a new officer or something, and that's because of that extra tax revenue, we would be able to hire another officer. Well, now it's tied to the CPI. So if the CPI only goes up 1%, then that's the percent we can, the actual revenue that we could extra spend over the expenditure, so.
Which isn't a good measure of what cities spend money on anyway.
No.
We spend money on concrete and police cars, not food. And
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see what it finally looks like, and what it does for the 17 budget. So,
And when you're growing, you need all that infrastructure, high dollar items, you know?
Yep, yep.
Well, and several people have brought up the small cities, like, you know, use Walton. You know, if they have a storm sewer pipe that breaks or something, I mean, you know, if there's no money there and they're not growing and there's not any new revenue, how are they gonna fix that?
Yeah.
and the timing of all of it doesn't make a lot of sense
You
either.
put
The
boards
fact that you
over
need
the
to have
road.
an election to do it, but the timing of when the budget is adopted doesn't line up with when the elections are held, so that means cities are going to have to pay for a special election to do it, and I still don't know how all that, I don't know how that would actually work. Even if we needed to have one, I don't know that we'd have the time to get it done in
don't
a
have the
timely
money.
manner
Yeah.
with the budget.
So, kind of our timeline, Michelle, did you put
I
together kind of a
think I brought
timeline?
that.
Um,
The specific actions for the 2017 budget, it would be adopted August 16th. The public hearing would be held August 2nd. It will go to council for approval for publication. This is when you guys approve it So the mill levy can't go any higher. At that point, that would be July 19th. And then we can have as many workshops prior to that.
July 19th?
July 19th.
So what we really wanted to talk about before we even bring something to you is to see if anybody has things that they would like us to look at, adding into the budget. You know, Ms. Martine.
You
had
want me to
mentioned-
go home now?
Well, no, that's what we're trying to do, is maybe, you know, another person in Public Works. Do you want us to try to put more money towards streets? Do you want us to put some money towards maybe a dog park? And maybe we could get something working on that. You know, what are things that you'd like to see us, or do you want us to look at cutting some more, or what? And then what we can do is take your notes and then start putting the budget together and bring it to you, and we could see, and you could see, well, okay, we know we're going to have extra money next year because we've by the end of this year, we'll have paid down another $1 million, so that frees up another $45,000 that we can use.
Depending on the tax lid. That's what
Yeah,
happens.
depending on what the tax lid is. But anyway, so what we can do is, if you have ideas, we can include them in the budget, bring it back to you, and can say, okay, if we want to do these things without cutting anything, you know, we've got the money to do it, or we may have to look at a slight bill increase, or maybe you see that and say, okay, well, you know, this we need a slight mill increase to do this. Let's go ahead and pull a few of these things out. Let's keep it the same. Let's put a little more money towards streets, whatever. But that way, we have an idea that we can draft and bring to you in May, so that you can look at it and say, well, let's adjust it some more, because it's going to sneak up on us pretty quick.
That's for sure.
For July. So really, we've got a couple months to be thinking about it and making
I have
changes.
a question for you. On this thing, we just, with the water, this new thing with ESP we're doing for CCUA, is there going to be enough money in the water sewer to start paying on those bonds we had a bond out, or do we need to think about putting extra in? How's our water and sewer? Because, you know, our city, Park City paid, but we bonded ours out. So what's that going to do?
We budgeted for 16. We budgeted for I think the first payment. I can't remember what the
Right.
amount was, but we would just continue to
So we'll
budget
just,
for it.
but keep that
In
budget,
those
so we'll be
funds.
okay. Okay. Because I was thinking about that the other day. I thought, we're good with that then? And it's not hurting water and sewer?
No.
Good.
The sad thing about it is
Because
that
we had to bond
there
it.
were,
It was
you know,
sewer. I think
it was,
that one.
you
Yeah,
know,
I just wanted to make sure we were good with that.
the funds are doing well, or as well as you could expect, but, you know, we have to start paying that. And then, of course, we did that agreement with the rural water district, so we're paying them. And so it seems like we get ahead, and then something comes up and we get pushed back, and which means we're not replacing our own water lines like we should be doing. You know, we talked about on 37th that one breaking down there. Unfortunately, as part of that 37th Street widening, we're going to replace it
We
at
wanted
that
that
point.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's other places in old Bel Aire that, you know, lines have been there 30, 40 years. They're going to start breaking, and we're not putting money towards it. We don't have money to do those replacements. So that's the frustrating part
It's gonna be
for
done.
us.
May
Well-
I ask something?
Mhm.
You know, a couple of years ago, we talked about certain entities in town that aren't paying for all their usage. Like they've got more than one or two hookups, but they're only paying for one or two hookups. Have we rectified that?
There shouldn't be any.
Yeah,
We
that
did
was
that.
something we tried to make sure, because you're right, there was,
Jamie's found a few.
yeah, but
What about the Catholic Care Hospital? They have 78 beds, and aren't they still on 1 meter?
Well, we charge by the meter. And
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
changed-
but you're paying 1 meter for 78,
Yeah, because it's
Hospital
based on
bed?
size of the meter.
and they have a 3-inch.
So, yeah, so they pay higher base fee.
We changed it, because like
No,
I know
they
it's.
don't.
Yeah, they do, because I know it's.
Commercial just pays, they have a 3-inch meter, which they paid for.
But we changed the
Yeah.
rates, didn't we?
But we didn't change the rates to increase
We didn't?
for a 78-bed hospital.
Well, I know commercial has a higher base rate than residential,
Yeah.
but I can't tell you off the top of my head how much the difference is.
How could we do
Well, I
that?
think it's like 18
It's based on the
bucks.
size of the
Well,
meter.
you can
Yeah.
go in, years ago, when we were over at the other building, I was charging Sunrise extra sewer meters and the water meter because they only had one meter.
Right.
And they had the school and Mr. Lindsted's house on that.
They should be paying more.
I don't know how many meters they have now, but they've got a daycare center.
Right.
They've
And they
got
should be paying more.
that, and I know I was charging the Catholic Care Center for 28 meters when they only had the one. And I believe it was either Mr. Parker or Allison, and they were looking over the books, and they said, Betty, you can't charge them unless they've got a meter. So when they put in the priest retirement, I said, they are all going to have 1 meter each apartment. And that's, and then when they built those houses, each house over there has, even though they're connected in the center, they each have a meter.
Yeah.
Which
But
makes sense.
I'm still saying that Catholic Hospital and the Alzheimer's unit, and I forget what else is over there, the Spiritual Life Center, they have, like every weekend, they have people all over the state of Kansas come for retreats. And they're still paying because I had to take it off because they told me it was illegal to do that. I couldn't charge them that. And I still to this day don't understand that. But anyway, they should be paying more.
They're paying water usage, right? But just not the extra surcharge on the meter, is that right?
They're paying
paying
water
the commercial
usage,
rate.
but they only have 1 meter, so they're only getting charged 1 charge. And you take people over there, and it's a 78-bed hospital. Don't tell me those people don't go to the bathroom.
I think
And
the
then-
ordinance dictates how many meters.
Huh?
Doesn't the ordinance say?
Yeah, our
It
fee is
should.
based on, a commercial meter is a certain fee and a private meter is a certain fee. So we all have what is it, $35 or something that individual pays. It's a flat fee. And then the commercial, I think I don't know if it's,
Well, it
150
depends on the size of
yeah.
the meter, too.
Yeah. So they're going to pay higher.
$1,000, but
Right.
they don't pay that every month. They pay that just once.
Well, that's to put the fee, that's to
Put the meter in.
But then they have a monthly fee
There's a
that
base
they
Yeah,
have to
and
pay.
it's like 18 something, where our base fee is 12 something, I think. it
Yeah,
is.
it's higher. But the water usage is just like ours, the individuals, it's based on usage. So the more you use, the more you pay. So if you have the new SCED building that's going in, they'll have 20 employees, but they're all out during the day working on houses and stuff. So they may only use, 10,000 gallons a week, but Catholic Care uses 100,000 a week. So Catholic Care in the end will pay more because they're
They
going to
pay for
use
the
400,000.
yeah.
And then SCED's only going to pay for 40,000. So they will pay more because it's based on usage.
But what I'm
But not
thinking
very
about
high.
is the sewer,
Yeah.
because that seems like that's where it's not, they're
See,
not
I
paying their
wasn't
fair
charging
share.
for
Yeah.
the sewer,
Because-
water, I was charging for sewer.
See, we have to maintain these, and like you say, they're wearing out, we're gonna have to replace them. And I remember you mentioned that a couple of years ago, that we needed to address that situation. And I just wondered, has that been rectified?
Yeah, because we brought in Springstead to look at, they did that study for us. And they told us what we needed to be, what we needed to be charging for commercial and
We
those.
adjusted it, right?
Yeah, and
I
it goes up
remember.
every month,
I
or every
remember.
year too. But the other thing that, I think one of the issues Betty was talking about that we also changed is those fourplexes that are going in over the previous manager over there wanted 1 meter for each 4
course
units,
he
and we
did.
said no. You've got individual, basically
residents.
families, even it's maybe a
That is
single.
who
or
told
something.
church, and he's gone.
And so we said, no, each one has to have their own. So that was something that because, that was.
Okay,
that
so
was an
that's
issue.
been
Yeah,
fixed.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would think even in the, because there are differences, like you mentioned, the Spiritual Life Center is one entity, the hospital itself is one entity, and those kinds of things.
They each all have one meter.
So each one of those entities has a meter, so they do have.
Spiritual Life has a meter, the hospital has a meter. But what I'm saying is, they have a 78-bed hospital. And years ago, on state law, you could charge them extra sewers because our sewer is not calculated like the water. So your water average goes from December, January, and February. Okay, that sets their average. So then from February on, they, like Ty said, if they use 40,000 gallons or 400,000 gallons of water, they pay for the gallons of water they use. But they only pay one sewer, and that's where I was charging, was the sewers. We upped their sewers until whoever it was, Parker or Allison, said that they looked it up and said, we can't charge them for that they changed that. But I don't know if they haven't changed that law back.
So like Betty, apartments though across from the high school, each of those apartments has their own sewer rate, right?
They better have.
The duplexes, yes, the apartments, no.
Oh, the apartments don't?
No.
Okay. So why didn't they each have to get a meter in each apartment?
Because it's a multifamily unit, it's just zoned different.
So it's several places in town get by.
So they just get one water bill?
I think that's that way a lot of places.
Yeah.
It's not
yeah,
just a Bel Aire
like,
thing.
I know, like where my, I'm the payee for a couple girls, their apartment, the water's covered by the owner.
Yeah.
And so that's why they get that. Okay.
Yep.
So
I think
it's
there's
not
one meter
just-
per building, and there's the 3 buildings.
That's what I
don't
wondered on the
think.
apartment. So
Mhm.
a fourplex would get or these duplexes, but then an apartment, there's the one per unit.
I mean, it really depends how
I
they're
understand, I'm just trying to
going
get
to be
clarification.
used, but yeah, the apartments, I know for sure.
So
they're
they
not.
wouldn't get all that sewer on those people either.
Right.
No, because we'd have to have so many.
Right, I understand, I'm just
Lines
wanting
up
to,
there.
I'm showing her, it's like
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but I still
multifamily.
think a 78-bed, can you imagine what Wesley's hospital bill is for their sewer?
I can't even imagine.
And I think, even though it's only a 78-bed hospital, that they should pay more in sewer than most people do.
We'll do some checking and see if
Because
there's
I
some
know
cities that do something
Resurrection
like
School
that.
has a 3-inch meter. They have a 3-inch meter on Father's house, a 3-inch meter on the church, and a 3-inch meter on the school. But they only go to 8th grade, and they don't have kindergarten.
Right.
We gotta figure out what we can do.
I would appreciate it if you would check on that, Ty, and see, you know, is this common practice every place, or are we losing out, you know?
Yep,
I
no,
have a
that's
feeling
right.
it's gonna be common practice.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll look at
Well, I
that.
just wanted to follow up
Yeah,
on that, because I knew
that's
you
good.
had mentioned that,
Sure.
and we need to pay attention to things like that.
Yep.
It's
Well,
important.
and I would think there would be some legalities on commercial businesses. My daughter actually is in a shopping strip mall kind of thing, her shop, and it's been a mess from the get-go, really, because their electric meters are shared.
Oh,
Ooh.
And see, down here on this strip mall, they're not. They're, like, when you go get your hair cut and shampooed and washed, they have a meter in their back room, every one of those
That's the way it
apartments.
should be.
And they get one water bill, right?
I don't know, I'd have to look.
Okay.
yeah.
If I remember right, they get one water bill and it goes to Oxted Management or whoever owns that. Then they go and read the individual meters that's in the building. And that's what they're individually charged.
Which is fair.
So the building owner takes care to make everything
Right.
fair.
Switching up here a minute, how's the police department? Are they going to do we need to add anything to their budget, or are they good?
No, I think they're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
They flashed lights at me yesterday.
Were you
Yeah, I
speeding,
heard
Betty?
you were going
5 minutes.
49 and a
What?
I heard you were going 49 and a 40.
What?
I was going 46 and a 40. Well, I had all these old ladies in there, and they were about to drive me crazy, and I had to get them to the rec center fast. But I slowed
Now, Betty,
down.
they might be listening.
I know.
You're lucky I used to get
That's
pulled
a
over
good
for
excuse.
anything.
Oh, we were just
This is
talking,
cheap.
and
He didn't know who it was. He just, was heading down and
It's very
saw this car
nice.
was,
oh, I
his
figured you
radar
saw
was
my
gonna-
my car tag.
Nope, he saw this, his
Somebody
radar was
flashing
going up, so he
by.
just flipped them on to slow down. And then he said, he just told me about it this morning. He said, then I got up and there was Betty in there.
That's hilarious.
And I said, you gotta watch her.
I know. I get late sometimes, and I was in a hurry. I was hungry to get home and eat. But that program yesterday was good in Hutchinson.
Ty, I have another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
When are we gonna get our feedback from the survey that's being done?
Yeah, that was, we met with them
You're jumping the gun here.
before you guys had all met to put together a timeline. And I was hoping to have that by July for the budget. And they said they're going to actually send out questionnaires to every homeowner, so the 2,400 people. And they were afraid that they couldn't get it all back, give everybody enough time by July for us to have. And I said, they said we could push it, but we're not sure about the data. And I said, I would rather get good positive data than to push this thing. And so,
Well, I asked because I think, that helps us make our
Yes.
budget when we know what people want. Now, we've got a
Exactly.
pretty good idea they want the streets taken care of because
Yes.
we've always heard that,
yeah.
But if there are other things that they might determine and bring out of people that they would really like to see in Bel Aire,
Yep.
that I can't wait to see the results of that study.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So we
that's
know we'll
good.
have it for next year, but unfortunately, we're not going to have it for this year because I said I'd rather have good data than.
Did he ask you for a copy of that old one we did?
Hasn't yet, but we'll have to look for it and see.
Yeah, because I told him he should ask for that old copy and compare the two questions before they send them out.
Okay.
Going back to council priorities, I've got one that I asked about, I talked about, I think, the last council meeting, and that's roads with 18-wheelers
Yes.
on Woodlawn and Brock.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned that the city of Wichita, at their bus stops, which are less weight than most 18-wheelers, they put reinforced concrete, they dig up the entire road where the buses stop. And that's because the weight has a detrimental effect. And I can't stress that enough, what the wear and tear on the roads. And of course, Betty says that early hours of the morning, a lot of truckers run at night, not to thwart any laws or anything, but it's less traffic and they get them
Yeah.
when they're going faster.
Yep.
But to have Woodlawn and Brock Road with that kind of traffic, and we're just going to be spending a lot more money than we have to, faster than we have to. So I asked about that, and I know you haven't had enough time to develop that, but I just want to bring it up again.
Yes. Actually, Alice and I started talking about it, and we got more research to do. But one of the concerns, she was thinking that those were designated as thoroughfares, and as we were talking about it, I thought, I think we might have for snow purposes and stuff. The other concern that she was having is, which again, this is some of the research we've got to do. If it's not a thoroughfare, then we may not be able to get funds from WAMPO. Because they don't, like all of our residential, we can't apply for anything through WAMPO and federal funds to pay for those types of streets. Now, thoroughfares and arterials, we can. So that's just our first thought.
Okay.
And so we're going to do some more research, though.
But if it is
Well,
a
I'm pretty sure
thoroughfare
Woodlawn is
or
a
an
thoroughfare
arterial,
with
then we can't
45th
change the route.
and
We can't-
32nd.
We cannot.
Right. Well, we could,
Oh,
but we just couldn't apply for WAMPO funds to
Which means we
expand
can't.
and.
okay, well, the WAMPO funds for Woodlawn is up to, what, 37th up to 53rd or whatever.
Yes.
That's multi-millions of dollars just to
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
Millions.
And,
We've had that on our,
Well, that corner of
That's
45th and
next 10
Woodlawn,
years.
if you're not careful, you're gonna break an axle. If you're coming from the west,
From the west.
going east, and you turn
Yes,
left,
that right, that hole there.
that hole,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, good
So-
Lord. That'll
But
eat
that's
my
just a
little car.
first blush, so
First,
we're gonna, we
thanks.
still got more talking to do and stuff like that, and we'll get something more definite back to you, but we've started the discussion.
I have a question, sorry.
I would like to maybe voice a priority as well. Living in one of the older homes out here, and I have been teased unmercifully that how did I get on the council and get a brand new street almost at the same time? But the reason was, there were several reasons involved in that. It was off engineering wise, and then they moved the water line, which I'm sure that most people don't think about that, didn't notice it, whatever. But that's a water line that is an old water line that has been replaced. And I know we did some camera shots of some of the old sewer lines and what have you too. And I don't know what the upshot of that was, but I'm pretty sure that they're pretty shaky.
Yeah, they went back to 1940 something.
And, I mean, it's nice that we have all these new homes going in and what have you, but you can't forget some of the older areas as well.
Yeah.
And I think some of that needs to maybe get a little bit of prioritization.
That would probably be debt funded.
Yeah.
Just-
One thing that we might talk about, or you might talk about, that would, if we set aside some funding, like we did to replace some of those streets over there, because most of them need it, honestly. Another thing to think about, if we set aside some funds for that, it would be interesting to know if the citizens would be willing to pay a portion of it. Now, of course, they don't have to, but it might speed up getting some done, or maybe allow us to get more done with the amount of money we put
Specials
forward.
again?
Well, I don't know if we do it specials, or just, if everybody said, well, I would pay $1,000 to get a new road, and, that's a policy decision you guys would have to think about it, and maybe you don't even want to think about
I
it.
ain't gonna think about that.
Maybe we just say we replace them as we can.
Well, that's how they do it out in the country, or in the small towns. I
That's what my
mean,
dad did in Arizona for his.
they go to the residents and what have you,
Yeah.
and do you want this blacktopped and what have you.
Yeah.
And I have had some conversations from, some people who live down south of me and have the gravel streets and what have you, and they're pretty sick of.
Yeah, that would be petition.
That would have to be
Yeah.
specials
That'd have
if
to
they've
be
never,
petition.
like Harvey.
Yeah, because
and-
they've never had
Never
that.
Right, but I know a lot of residents on Harding don't want it.
Well,
Well,
Question.
that's a good question, and I wonder if they can put a question like that on the survey.
Yeah, would you be
If,
willing to pay? It's a good.
People would really want their roads fixed, if they would be willing to chip in a little bit, because
Okay.
when we put in our nice wall around our neighborhood, or at our front entrance, we asked people if they would be willing to chip that in, and every single person in Bel Aire Heights paid $200 toward that wall, so we could get that put in. We raised $30,000 practically overnight,
Yeah.
because people realized the value of that, and they were willing to pay for it.
Okay. That's a good
So-
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
we'll
good
do that.
I don't think they'd go for $1,000 on streets,
I don't either.
not per resident.
Probably not.
The traffic light at 45th and Oliver, since we are going to talk about next year's budget, it is getting very close. We did a survey a few years ago, and we weren't quite there, and they suggested a roundabout. But it might be a good time for us to call Wichita, since they did build Stuckey, and say, hey, you need to pay half of this, because when we did that survey, like what, was it 3-4 years ago? And they came back and said, you're very close on both of these streets at 45th, but you're not quite there. 4-way steps, actually faster. And then they really did suggest a roundabout over here, which I loved. but it didn't go over that survey with the citizens. Remember, they were like, nah, we don't like it. I love them. Springfield has so many, and it's so fast, just boom. But I think we ought to say, okay, guys, it's probably time you start, and you split this with us, because you own that west side, and you did build Stuckey, because it's beginning to be, I don't know if you guys ever go that way in the morning, but it's beginning to where you're backed up so far that I think we're getting close. And I think we
You
ought to
gotta
have
come
that.
by my house in the morning.
I know, but it's not as bad as Oliver.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, I've done
I'm
both.
backed up past the Resurrection
Right.
Church.
But we just did that one 2 years ago, right? And they said we weren't there yet at this one.
No, we didn't have the money.
We did do a survey.
Oh, the survey, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. We did a survey. They said
but
we're
we
not
didn't
quite
have-
ready at 45th and Oliver yet, remember?
Right.
Oh, I'm talking 45th and Woodlawn.
I meant 45th and Woodlawn. They said we weren't quite ready.
Yeah.
Remember the survey?
Well,
said-
they said that they didn't want to do it because they thought they could go fast. The engineer told us that you could get through it faster. But I'm telling you, the wrecks down there is getting worse.
Right. Well,
Bad.
and that's something we probably need to think about for 2018.
And those
Because
people
it's
don't
so
know,
much, and we'd have to
okay,
fund
the
it.
person on the
That
right
one would
goes and the
alleviate,
person on the left.
and we would only have to do half, because it's only half ours. And maybe Wichita would, put in 3/4. And the other thing I would like to see, we didn't get to do it this year, but let's just put it in on what it looks like, is to go back and let's look what it would look like for a 3% raise for the employees. If we can't do it, we can't do it. But let's just see what it looks like for 2017. And then if we need to go down to 2 or 1 or nothing, because we don't want to raise, for me, I don't know about you guys, I don't want to raise the milk.
I just
But-
soon give back that money. I don't use it except to buy gifts for the employees or pay for
Well, I know,
my
but I'd like to see-
transportation and stuff.
I'd like to see us put it back in the budget, because it'll be a while now since they've had a raise, and just see if we have it. If we
Oh, 1
don't,
year.
no.
They got
some
a
of
raise
them-
in 15.
There was a 1% in 15. That was the first year.
Right, but the year before that, we did,
Didn't
we didn't do a straight
anything
across
'cause
raise.
We didn't have the money.
Right, that's what I said, but now if we do have the money, even a 1% is better than nothing. I would take $5 a week if I could go buy me more drinks or something, I don't know. I'm just saying, let's look at it. If you guys don't want to do it, obviously we don't have to, but if it's in there, it's easier to cut than
Well,
it
you
is
can
to
always
add on.
vote it out after the budget's completed.
Exactly,
anyway.
so I'd like to
Yeah.
just see what it looks like, a 3%, and then we can have wiggle room.
Is there a significant difference between the cost of a roundabout and the cost of a traffic light? Four-way traffic light?
Yeah, the roundabout's actually more expensive because you gotta buy more land.
See, I'm not to oppose you personally,
No.
but I am against roundabouts. I come from Philadelphia in New Jersey. There are roundabouts, lots of roundabouts in New Jersey. I have driven to 48 contiguous states for several years. And roundabouts they can slow traffic down depending upon who knows how to enter into a roundabout with the traffic going around the circle. These people have to yield. Some people don't know that. They come in, there's a crash, and then everybody's stopped up for
Yeah.
4 ways. I've seen that many times, and so
And
for that reason, I am...
Warrensburg and Springfield did a study though, and both those cities have them, and it actually is working very well. And the people who would be up here are not like, and I understand, I wouldn't want to do one in Philadelphia, or London, or Paris, or New York, but in a county up here, I actually like the idea. I think they're very quick, but I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't take any offense with you disagreeing.
No, I still
Mayor.
I still disagree, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
okay. We
that's
all have
absolutely-
different opinions. That's
And I love them, but.
Okay, are
Well,
you
I
ready?
think,
And I can tell you what the chief's opinion of them is too. He hates them.
Well, we don't care what he hates.
well,
He works for us.
Well,
You
that
know,
is true, but just
I-
saying.
Well, people don't know how to do them.
I have observed the roundabout they put in up there by the new Bed Bath & Beyond. People in Wichita do not know what to do with those things. It was
they'll learn.
almost comical,
They'll learn.
trying to watch people figure that out,
It's
so.
hilarious.
And if it costs more money, I'd rather have a light. And
I said a lie.
actually, I have heard more complaints about the intersection at Woodlawn and 45th. And even if the traffic engineers say that you get through faster without a light, the perception of the public is not that way. And they think we need a traffic light there. I've heard that so many times, people complaining, we need a light, we need a
I do it every
light.
day.
And so I think we should
Isn't
probably,
it 150,000?
we should probably look
Yeah,
at
the
that.
big
Probably.
overhead ones are.
But I think it'd be
We'll look at
great if we could get Wichita to go in with us on the one at 45th and Oliver.
I agree,
That
they
would
need to, they
help.
built Stuckey.
Mm-hmm.
What we are, Ann and I have been working on at WAMPO is to get widening. This year, we're doing 37th Street, is in 2020, doing widening Woodlawn from 37th to 45th. And part of that would be turn lane, actually redoing the whole intersection with turn lanes and maybe
That
at
would
that
be
point.
wonderful.
And then you could put in
streetlights.
a light too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Bond
what
it
our
all
goal
out.
is,
Yeah.
to get that through WAMPO.
And we could have sidewalks.
Yes.
That would be so wonderful. I just
Yeah.
Well, we're
worry
not building a sidewalk to Stuckey.
every
That's in
time.
Wichita, I ain't building.
No, I'm talking
No.
about on Woodlawn,
Woodlawn.
Betty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every time I see kids walking to the store, it just scares me to death
It
that one
ends
of
at
them's
that
gonna get
pond
hurt.
across from Dr. Burrow, it just ends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a comment about that. Ostensibly, sidewalks are great, but I think you're going to find that USD 259 would not be in favor. And I don't want to go into the reasons now, but we could talk about it at an executive session at some time perhaps. But I'll just say that they would not be in favor.
That's good to know. Money.
With good, and they have a good reason, and I'll mention that later.
Okay, on council priorities, my
Okay.
turn.
Uh-huh.
Can we add a little bit of a line item for the stormwater, even though we're going to do the stormwater? I mean, start out with $5,000 or something?
Yeah, we'll actually create a fund like we do the water fund.
Yeah.
And so we'll show that we estimate about 65,000 that will come in next year for that. And then we can, probably,
Yeah.
the Rock Road will have to be done first because that thing is.
So we don't need a
It'll
line
start-
item in the budget to get that started?
No, but you'll see, right now
It'll
you
be a
got
whole new
general
fund.
fund, you got water, you got sewer, and then you'll see a stormwater.
Won't you have
You'll
30,000
be,
already
yeah, I was gonna
this
say, you'll
year?
have 30
Yeah,
by
we'll
the
already
time
have some
next
this
year
year. Okay.
starts.
Yeah.
Okay, my second one, hold on to your hats. I want a line item put in for Mr. Lasher to hire a personal private secretary. And no offense, Michelle, you're doing fine.
I'm not a secretary, I'm a backup secretary.
Well, and he can think about this, is it probably needs to be a middle-aged person, so your wife doesn't get upset. You got a good young-looking chick in your office there. And anyway, she wouldn't, but I just had to throw that in. She could do your dictation.
Michelle is in
and-
charge of HR, though.
Michelle, my
Well,
presenting.
I'm getting to that. Don't interrupt me. And she could also, she or he, because there are good gentlemen that work very well as secretaries. And you could do your dictation, they can do your typing, more or less your sidekick person. They could also, if you desire, take over the HR person, because it's kind of worried me. I know Michelle does a good job, not saying that,
They can
but
have it.
for her to be in on hiring people, and then they get hired and something happens in the city and they come back and they have to go through HR, she's gonna be stuck in the middle, because they're gonna say, well, she interviewed me and she said this and that. And I don't think I talked to the mayor before on that for Michelle to sit in on interviews being the HR person, and to take the load off of Michelle so she can do more of her financing and stuff. That person could also be over the employees downstairs. My second thought is making a line item for Keith to get another person, because I've asked for that for 3 years now. And I looked at him the other day, never said anything to him except hello, and he's got more gray hair than I do. And he just doesn't have time, and as we're growing, and all the inspections and stuff he's got to do.
Yeah.
And he'd still answer to you, but this man or woman that's his other person could stay back there in that old city clerk's office and answer to Keith. He can go do the weeds and the political signs and all
Yes.
that stuff.
Yeah, that's a
He
good.
wants the
And
opposite.
we've
He
talked
wants
about
someone to do
that,
code
yeah.
enforcement for him so he can focus on building inspections.
Yeah.
I
But
definitely
he could
agree
also
with that.
teach them, and
I agree.
Yeah.
they could go to school to, if they don't have the education, to go do inspections, because I know in one appropriations, we paid somebody over $1,700 to do inspections while the man was on vacation. And he only did 17 of them, wasn't it? 12 or
I don't
17, I
remember
don't
the rate, but
remember
yeah,
how
it
many
was
it
a-
was. But those were my only, I'd like to see a line item put in. Now, maybe Ty doesn't want a secretary, I don't know, but
Betty, how much?
Let us talk about that. Definitely, Keith, there's no question, that
Yeah,
guy.
Keith.
Keith needs, but how much would this, without raising the mill levy, where would you find for two?
Well, I don't know, that's what we'll have to
Figure it
look at, you know, because we know we're gonna have, because we built so many houses, we know we're gonna bring in more revenue. So, and that's, again, that's the whole idea of our discussion today is, we know we're saving a mill on, interest, because we've paid off another $1 million. We're gonna bring in some more, so we may have another extra 100 or 150,000. And again, that's to get your part is where do you think that should go? And so we could, and
you're
what
not
we'll
gonna
do
start them
is,
out 150,000. If you are, I'll apply.
Me too.
so,
Well, Ty, as you Ty, as you look at the staffing needs and decide what departments need what and everything, are these things where, yeah, I mean, we ran into this last year with the rec department where we said, you need someone. He's like, I know it.
Mhm.
Yeah, we do. Is that kind of where we are?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because that's, you know, everybody's, we've got a great staff, and, you know, Keith, he's just overworked, and he doesn't get to the code enforcement because he's got someone, you know, he had 100 new houses, then you figure in next level hoops, their addition, the SCAD building and everything else.
Yeah.
He's just not getting to it.
Definitely.
He does the
Yeah.
plan
Like
review,
that.
he does the stormwater
Yeah.
stuff. he
Well,
does all
just
that.
remember, some people don't like Keith, but he enforces these zoning regs, and we all voted on those zoning regs.
Mhm.
He does a
Clear
clear job.
them.
I think Keith does a very, very, very good job. And
And
I'll tell
people
you,
get upset with him.
I know, but they'd
And
be
that's
upset with
fine.
whoever was in
Yeah.
that position. It's not, I don't think
Yeah,
him
I
personally.
wouldn't want his job.
No.
Me either.
But I will tell you this, the very few times that I'm up here after hours to do something, that oftentimes I'll see Keith or Michelle or someone's here late, you know, to.
Yeah.
There was some mention about public relations and the city manager, and my response was that I don't think the city manager should be involved in public relations. His job personally is to run the city, and that's what he has to do. And so if there's a desire on the part of council or staff to have someone handle problems with people, problems, or maybe even just advance Bel Aire in general in a positive way, maybe that person could take on that responsibility also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
suggestion.
But who
Well,
would do the?
it's not that Michelle's not doing a good job, it's a concern that I have that if they would ever come back and file on us, she's gonna be stuck in the middle. And I don't know if it's a law or not, but it'll take a relief off of her that she doesn't have to do, and she can do more financing, investing and stuff.
Well, what I'm kind of hearing
Administrative
is that maybe you need to kind of do a reassessment of
What you
several jobs.
Yeah.
And then kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I'd really like to do that.
Can I go back and address,
Yeah.
so, sorry, Guy, I just wanted to, when we switched from administrator to manager, the
Yes.
whole reason was that the council's all part-time, I am not even part-time.
No.
Let's face it, we're just a council that meets 3 times a month, a workshop and 2. We don't know the daily workings of what's going on. So we changed him from administrator to manager so he could handle the day-to-day things of PR going on in here. Like, so if there is a problem, let's say downstairs, he should be the one as a manager of the city that would handle that. Is that what we're talking about?
No,
Okay, I don't know if I understood you.
Well,
Sorry.
maybe you did, precisely. I'll just re-explain it.
Okay.
I don't think the city manager should be involved in public relations. I don't think if someone, it rarely, I don't think it happens often, but somebody's going to be upset, a citizen will be upset about an issue and come in with a piece of paper or something and say, you know, I've got to talk to the city manager about this because I'm not being treated fairly about this, whatever it is. And I don't think the city manager should be on call. I think the city manager should have somebody on staff, his secretary, his assistant, whatever the name is, and then
Administrative
Ty can
assistant.
say, will you go down and handle this in the best way that you can? And then there'll be communications between this administrative assistant and Ty about this issue, and then they can decide, and they can decide what they want to do about it. If the person is off base, well, then you tell him or her in a nice way that this is not the responsibility of the city, or if there is an issue that should be addressed by staff, then they can be told, yes, this is a proper way to do things, and we are going to correct this issue to your satisfaction. Something along
Right.
that, but I don't think Ty should be doing that.
Well, in Wichita, Layton does a lot of that. I mean, I think it should be, if Ty's comfortable. And I mean, are you trying to just to have him not do so many hours of it? Because I think most cities, the manager does handle the big issues when they come in. Like, you could make a meeting and go see Layton and say, here's my problem right now with Wichita. Does that make sense?
But I'm not talking big issues. I'm talking about petty issues,
Right.
basically. And so they shouldn't be handled by the city.
It's not
If-
taking
if somebody
anything
is
away from
important
Ty,
and wants to
it's-
meet with Ty about an important issue, by all means, yeah, they have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say a couple of things, and I'm walking in late here, but one, I think this speaks volumes that we're talking about adding staff for so many years, guys.
Yeah.
And I look at two staff members that have worked, I don't know if you've ever worked less than 40 hours a week, and just tell you how much we appreciate how much the staff does, really do. And when we went through all the layoffs a few years ago, and we're a much larger city with a much smaller staff, and so this does me good to hear a lot of this, and it speaks volumes for all of us in this room. I really do. I think we've all, so pep talk aside, because
Yes,
I'm
thank you,
really
guys.
proud of everything governing body's done and the staff has done. But then second, I want to just briefly, what I'm hearing, I spent 15 years as a public relations professional. When I think of public relations, I'm thinking of the person who is putting press conferences together, handling marketing campaigns, television, radio appearances, news releases, talking points, white papers, social media, all of that, which is stuff we need. And I'm just wondering if are you thinking more like a gatekeeper, which I think is very much needed? Is that, I mean, I'm just...
Yeah, you're right on, Mr. Mayor. A public relations person is responsible for all the things you just suggested, but that's usually for a bigger organization than the city of Bel Aire. So the word public relations was used, so I reused it. Now, I'm talking about someone who can assist Ty in the small matters of concern that citizens may have.
Okay.
But as far as the big concerns, as Peggy suggested, then I would say no. If a contractor or somebody, an important person in the surrounding communities wants to meet with you about an issue, by all means, have that conversation. No, I'm not saying don't do that.
Well, as a secretary that I suggested for him, I just gave out some suggestions. He's still the manager. He still decides on who does what and that kind of stuff. But if you don't give him suggestions, he'll think, okay, does she want me to do this and this and this and this?
I think we've been open
So
about
I
it.
just gave suggestions, and I'm really concerned about Michelle being the HR person and going into interviews to hire people also. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's kosher for her to do that, because if they come back on us, it's gonna go on her back, and we
Only
don't
if I
want
did
that.
something wrong.
Huh?
Only if I did something wrong. And I
Well,
don't.
yeah, but still, you've got enough on your plate to do with the finances, and you may have time to go invest money.
Well, this is great.
It was
that we-
interesting. it was interesting. Michael Souls spoke at the WIVA luncheon today, and I went. In fact, I got to escort him upstairs so that he could meet the president and some of the board of directors and what have you. But it was interesting in his talk today. That is one of the first moves he is making. And he kind of has Ron Holt, and I know many of you know Ron and know what a great asset he has been to Sedgwick County in many instances. But Ron is wanting to retire again. And
Again.
and his wife really wants him to retire again. But that is one of the first positions that he is planning on, is sort of a communications director. And for the county, it's communications up or down. So in other words, some of the things that we've heard about the commissioners lately and those meetings has not been very PR perfect, because most everybody just thinks they're a bunch of kooks now. So that he can handle putting things out, a new way of doing things, or all the changes that he will be making that'll go out through that person. And this is going to be the wordsmith, to use your word. But again, some of the things that come up, protecting him until you can tell whether it's real, truthful,
Exactly.
that kind of thing. And so I find that kind of interesting that, we're at that kind of a position too. I don't know whether we have a full-time need for it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't making the statement that I think Ty should still be the PR person, because he's done a very good job on that, handling residents and et cetera. But he needs somebody to loosen him up, like type up his reports or whatever he needs, and she or he could take dictation while he's talking to contractors, so that Ty doesn't worry, well, now I got to go type this up, I got to let the council know. And it's his decision on what this person should do, but I definitely think that he needs somebody to help him out. But I still personally want him to be in charge of the PR people, like you were suggesting, that when they come in and they're kind of a little hot-headed and screaming and hollering, Ty needs to come down and calm him down, because he's got that knack that he can do that.
That's one thing we've really appreciated about you, Ty. I think you have done a major, fantastic job in making our community open to other people and getting along with our neighbors, and you've just really been outstanding in that area.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that. You're very diplomatic, and that's important. And I agree with everything that people have said. And if it does work out that you get some kind of an assistant, which I don't know how you've gotten along without an administrative assistant. I had to have one when I was working. I mean, it's just like your right arm to have somebody that knows your mind, that knows how to do what needs to be done to free you up to do other things. It's just incredible. And I would hope that you would get somebody with the skills that everybody's talked about here.
Yeah.
That
might
would
take
really...
you to an electronics store too. There are some new gadgets out.
Yeah.
That could be helpful.
I thought you were going to say something else.
I've given up on trying to keep up.
But there's one more thing I'd like to add, which you mentioned, and I don't know, I'd like to have us really look seriously at a dog park. Now, as I said, a couple years ago, I think it would be great marketing tool to get people to come to Bel Aire. People care about their pets. People care very much, and they love good dog parks. I think that would be a selling point for people to come out here and live close to a nice dog park. Now, I don't want something that's like a golf course,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
like that proposal we had, that was
Oh, my.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
We don't need turf
Right.
brought in. We don't even have to have a paved parking lot, you know, in my opinion. But I think we could do an economical job, maybe get some donations for certain features that would be nice about it. But I just think that would really help us in marketing homes and land out here. It's something that we don't have in this area that people would really, really love. I enjoy living where I do because I've got a nice, beautiful place to walk my dogs, you know, that is just wonderful. And that means a lot to people. I still think
See,
we
I
should
wouldn't
look at
want
that.
to. See, if I'm a citizen and you're spending my money on a dog park, I would be upset. Because I don't want a dog and I don't want a dog park. So you see what I'm saying? We've got to be careful because you're a dog lover and I'm not.
Well, I'm talking about marketing our city.
I don't think it's
Getting a
cool.
feature, just like the swimming pool. I don't want to swim in that swimming pool. Most people don't.
I'm gonna fill it in and
It
make
was
But I'm paying for it.
already paid. We're
I'm
already
paying.
filling it.
I
But
know,
I'm
but
just
I'm
saying-
paying for it.
I think that's a good survey question because I understand what you're saying, but I.
Yeah, I'd love to see it on
I
the
would love to
survey.
see it on the survey because I think
Yeah.
a half of the
We can
population
make that
feel like
happen.
me.
Well, you may be anti-dog, but I think you're in the minority nowadays
Not
because
on a
people are
spending our
spending
money.
thousands and millions of dollars
I'm
on
not
their
anti-dog.
pets.
I've had dogs, many dogs, but I wouldn't want you spending my tax money on it when
Well,
I have a road that's crumbling. You see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
I know. we
Maybe if
have-
I were debt-free.
Would you say that you would be willing to do something that might bring more people
Not if
into
we're
our
gonna spend my
community?
money on a dog park before you pay the debt.
But would you look at it that way?
Not if we're in millions of dollars of debt.
I think that's reasonable.
I'll tell you
I don't.
what, I think this is,
No, it's a good
I think we've
discussion.
got, I think this is a
It's a good
fantastic discussion. You know, I personally, where I'd come down on it, I'd love to
He
see
loves
that.
dogs.
But
Good.
but I also, yeah, I completely see what you're saying, or someone who isn't.
If you were
So,
debt-free.
but what
the
we're
city
doing
was
right now,
debt-free.
guys, this is, again, we're having this community engagement survey. I think let's
should ask
see.
people.
Yeah, I'd like to have that.
I would too.
Yeah, and,
Well, I really think it'd help,
I don't.
because there were a lot of people when we first started talking about the dog park. You know, when I go down Woodlawn, changing the subject a little bit, I see everybody in front of me slowing down for those signs.
That's right.
We didn't spend a whole lot of money on that, and you can add something each year. You don't have to do it all at one time. Now, I would like to see a little Woodfoot Bridge, or whatever you call them things, on the west side of Woodlawn for those children to cross, but I see cars in front of me all the time. They're slowing down when they see those signs flashing.
That's right. I
And
do
they flash
instinctively.
clear into the night. It's dark and they're still flashing.
Ask me all the time, do they need to slow down?
And they do slow down, so even if you found a place like wherever that was in the flood zone, and just put up a fence with a divider and say small, medium, large dogs. Most people, you know, they'll bring their own water bowl until we can get water up there, or their little bowl for their doggies to drink out of and stuff. And
Lucky would love to be there for the ribbon cutting.
I think that would be.
Sorry, Peggy.
I think to get it
Spend my
started,
tax money.
because look how many people come to the dog pool party.
That's
We
right.
didn't have as much last year, but I don't think it was.
Well, if
We've
you've
got
got,
capacity.
you've got a town of 7,000, if 10% even, you would have 700 and you didn't have even 10%.
So, all right, so if we have some monies for potential projects, let's see what the community survey comes back, and let's have this discussion.
Yeah, but the
Because
survey won't be back until after budget.
The capital improvement budget isn't a budgeted budget. It's
Yeah, you
not
don't have to
adopted.
specifically
Okay.
say
Yeah.
X for dogs, X for,
We'll be,
because, who knows, it may come back that we want, God knows what,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, but I think,
That one's
I've heard
not-
two extremely valid points.
yeah, the capital improvement fund. We do budget every year to put 150,000 in it from the general fund, so that is a budgeted. But what you guys do with that funding, that's open to negotiation throughout the year.
Well, I
So
think
that could
that
be
it would
something.
be a good marketing
That's where it
tool
would come
because
from.
people will go to a dog park. And when they go, if we had a nice dog park out here, they'd look around on their way, coming and going and say, this is really a nice community. I might like to live out here. And I think it would be a great way to bring people to Bel Aire, see our city. I mean, we try to do that with our events that we have, to get people to come out here and look at the city.
Well, let's see what the survey
So-
says.
Yeah, okay. Anybody have anything else? I would like to try to put a little more money towards streets if we can.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
We all know that is a priority for
Yeah.
the people that live here, so
Okay.
I would definitely agree
I
with
can't
that.
believe Gunnison those people never complained. Mm.
What we did, 2 years ago, we took out a temporary note for about 1.1 million. And that debt service is going to start, I believe, next year. I'd have to look.
What's
We're not
the
gonna take any
payment?
more
About
debt service out.
$100,000. Well, the problem is we can't do any street projects of
Without it.
significant size without it. We just don't have it. We were hoping for the sales tax to bring in about 200,000 a year to start building up a fund.
Yeah, but we don't know what's
We
coming
don't.
down from Topeka and.
No, we
the
don't. But
state.
the problem is a lot of
It's
these.
gonna be hard.
The street projects are expensive.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
Even if we start saving a little bit for a fund for that.
goes quick for a
Mhm.
street project, so.
I
we
can't
could
believe
do
how
what-
expensive you think, it was a small little patch, but holy cow.
It's amazing
all
how
the
quick $1 million
engineering and-
dollars
Well,
goes.
37th Street, we're only paying about 10% of the cost, and it's gonna run 700,000 just for that mile, 10% of it.
For
I
1
just
mile.
wonder, has our engineer done any research on alternative methods of doing streets and alternative products? Like, you see articles about streets that have been done with old tires that have been recycled and everything, and it makes a real strong surface, I wonder if there's any cheaper way to do things that we haven't really looked into,
Yeah, I'll have her look into that. What I've got her doing now, again, part of the budget process, is really assessing all of our streets. So to determine that, this street probably needs to be replaced in the next 5 years. This street can wait 10 years. This street, and most of them are probably going to be needing to done pretty quickly. But at least we have an idea of where the really bad streets are, because some of us may not even drive on them. We just go a certain way and we don't go down those streets.
Right.
But that's kind of part of her goal is for this year, before the budget's actually adopted, so that we can look at where our really bad streets are. Because that's another question we have to come up with is, do we only have a certain amount of money, do we replace a block of a street, just totally replace it? Or do we slurry seal 20 miles of streets, which that is just buying us a few more years, but will they deteriorate quicker if we don't? So that's the other thing that I've got her looking at, is to determine where the streets are, and some of them she may say, this has just got to be replaced, there's no need to put anything on it, but if we spent that money slurry sealing or sealing these streets, we'll save them 10 years before we have to do anything. And that'll kind of help us decide where that money's going to go.
Relative to streets, we've had this issue come up before. Betty was saying that the 45th and Woodlawn, if you're traveling east on 45th Street and make a right-hand turn on Woodlawn heading south, that patch has been patched several times. And I think Betty mentioned last year or 2 years ago that there was a company up in Topeka who had a special patch that did not come out. That it cost more money, but it was a
50 cents a ton.
superior product. So have we? I don't think we purchased any of that. I'm going to suggest that maybe we look into purchasing the smallest quantity possible, and then putting it in that particular patch, because we now have a good compactor.
That'd be
which
a good test.
That's
would be a
really
good
good
test.
idea.
And then if there are other areas like that the city is aware of, try it there and see what happens.
Turn
If it-
left,
if-
too,
if
'cause
it
you fall
works,
off in that
fine. If
ditch.
it doesn't work, well, we just invested a small amount.
Yeah.
For a
great
small
I like
quantity.
it.
It's a great idea.
Ann said she would try some, and we're getting right, early summer and summer is when we do most of our patching, so we're getting right into that. So I'll mention to her to maybe try some of that at that intersection, because that's a busy one, and maybe a couple other
Yeah.
places, just see
Well,
how
she
it
told me
performs.
they got one of those small, what was those things I'd bug everybody to see that big piece of machinery
Like a
that
strip?
the stripper
Yeah.
that dug it up and they
Uh-huh.
ground it and then they put it back in.
Recycled the
We
street.
gotta recycle the street or something, but that, I've harped about that street patch because that guy up there told us it was only 50 cents a ton more
Uh-huh.
and to get that patch.
Yeah. we'll-
And it was,
I was with you that year. It's a
Yeah.
great stop.
we'll-
You saw the card? When I got
I think Ann was
Yeah,
there
she
this
was
year.
there and
she
she
was
got
there
it.
this year
She
and
knows
I
what
took
it
Ann
is.
over
Yeah.
there and she talked to those people, so
Right.
she'll
Yeah.
know what patch it is.
Yeah, I'll mention to her, we want to try some of that this year.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you all need in the offices? I know Betty and I kind of harped at you a bit about some old copiers and what have you,
Yeah.
costing a fortune in leasing and toner.
Yeah, in fact, I told Michelle about the one upstairs. It's been up there.
That's an
for quite a
antique.
while.
It's
No.
been
And
there
you're
longer
gonna
than I have.
replace it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Did you say you're gonna get that replaced?
Yeah, it'll be here tomorrow.
This year. So that's nice.
Are you leasing it or am I?
It's $1,800 for just buying it.
Yeah. But what we'll do is we'll have, we haven't even talked to the department heads yet to see, in their departments, do they have anything they're looking at or anything? So we'll tell them to put that together, but we wanted to know what your comments are so that we can go to them before they start putting their budget and say, hey,
Right.
we want to,
Before Keith asks for
Yeah.
another person, we can
Keith,
tell him
we're
there's
gonna put
actually some
another
support
person
for
in
it.
here, and this
so.
is what their responsibilities are gonna be.
I
So
don't
that
think
we
he'll
get that
ask anymore.
together.
He's asked many
No, I
years
know,
that
he's so used to just doing it
Yeah,
all,
he's
he
just
doesn't
doing it,
ask.
so.
doesn't ask.
I've gotten his hopes up a few times and that never happened, so.
Yeah. So then we'll bring those to you from what they have, and then also include yours in there, and we'll see where we're at.
I have one more question. Do we have, what are we doing about actively trying to get some retail out here? Like a nice restaurant, a nice little shopping mall, something like that. What are we doing? Are we actively seeking that?
I work with Marlon on that, because he's really tied into all these businesses and stuff, and I've been working with Next Level Hoops and FedEx about getting some support from them. Actually, FedEx has given me a letter that they could use, like a fuel station somewhere, because we were talking about up on 254. And Marlon was saying if we, he's got contacts that do that stuff, and he said if we can get the support from our businesses, then we can take those letters to them from
Yeah.
companies like FedEx, and that really gets their attention. And so we've been working on that. Next Level Hoops, I was talking with Keith, we're going to try to get a traffic counter out there, because they've got a lot of things in the on the weekends. And
Make it
so,
on a busy day.
Yep, and so we can then get traffic counts so that we could then go to like a hotel. Because I actually talked to a person that develops hotels the other day, and it was at the Chamber, the guy that runs the hotel over Park City.
Best Western.
Yes, but not the Best Western, but the one up there by Wild West World.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Comfort
That's
Inn.
a Motel 6 now, isn't it?
I'm not sure what it is.
Comfort
Why is
Inn.
it this, okay.
But anyway, he was sitting next to me and I was
Changed 2 or
talking
3
to him. I
times
said, we
lately.
need one over here. And he said, well, I need data that would prove that. And I said, okay, well, we're working on getting, numbers for that, car traffic and that kind of stuff. He said, that would be very helpful because, and I also need to know that not just on weekends, but what's going to happen. That'd be great if I'm full every weekend, but if I have 10% occupancy the rest of the week, I can't do it. And so I've been working with the businesses to see if I can get their support of, hey, yeah, we're going to bring in people during the week for training or whatever it may be. So yeah, we're doing those kind of things. The the person that's looking at buying the corner of 45th
No.
and
Rock.
No.
Rock.
I will not.
Rock.
45th and Rock.
Rock.
I've had a lot of activity next door to me.
Yeah, yeah. 45th and Rock, the land bank approved that. They've set a closing, not next Friday, but the Friday of 2 weeks
Okay.
to close on that. And they're the ones that were looking at the strip
22nd.
mall there. Yep, 22nd.
I'm so delighted about that, and I hope that starts the ball rolling. you
And
know?
I ran into Marlon on Thursday evening, we talked about that strip mall, some of the tenants that they're proposing will be very exciting.
We'll get him to sell that land next to me.
In
I don't want
addition,
no storage sheds over there and they shine their lights in my bedroom all night
On the
long.
south,
yeah, someone wants to buy that property. There's two, Bill
Brookhouse.
Brookhouse's
yeah.
people, and then there's someone else that owns adjacent property, and the people that want to buy it want to put in storage units. And I expressed my concern to Ty about that, and they came back and said something about, well, we could maybe keep a little corner and maybe put all the storage units in the back. And I said, well, we got the McCallums back there, we have somebody else back there, we have Betty Martine to the north. I said, no matter how nice you make them look, he said, we can make them out of brick and make them look like houses.
I
I
don't
said,
care.
there's still storage units, they're in it because it's a very profitable business,
Absolutely.
and they're looking at the bottom line, and they know how much the profit they can make from that if they fill it up. So I am against that whole idea there. But on 45th and Rock, we have 4 acres that are available, and 4 acres roughly of drainage area, and the city is sending a letter to FEMA. It'll take about 6 months to get some kind of response, and Ty will correct me if I'm wrong. But if they do approve it and we can fill it, see, we have dirt, cheap, we can use our dirt to fill it in, and I'm saying, you heard me talk about this before, and it's my suggestion to the city do that. But if they could put in 8 acres, I was present when they talked about it, but they said, oh yeah, that makes a big difference. And I'm thinking a restaurant's a possibility up there.
They can put a restaurant next
That
to
would be
me.
wonderful.
There'd be plenty of parking, they can take, because they wouldn't be open all night long and shining lights in my bedroom.
well, those storage sheds, one good thing is they do,
I don't care, they're not moving next to me.
Yeah, they're super
I will
secure.
not
No, I
vote
know.
for it.
we're the only country, we have so much stuff we have to.
Store it.
We don't even know what it is.
Even when you
Yeah,
go
a
down,
storage shed.
when you go
TV.
down Rock Road and look at those storage shed across from Party City,
Yes.
they're nasty. They're awful.
That show where people go and buy them.
Well, I think that,
That
well,
is so fake.
That's fun.
that land
sad.
at 25th,
even-
or at 45th and Woodlawn is a prime piece of
It's
real
like pawn
estate for a
shops.
wonderful restaurant or some kind of little shops, that would be like cottage shops or something like that. That would be an asset to the neighborhood around it,
A little place to
That's-
have tea.
My,
and
Yeah,
my
exactly.
landowner would go for
bakery.
something like that,
Right.
or a
That would be a
restaurant.
great
I want to open a
property.
bakery. I
You
can open a
mentioned
bakery.
storage
We got
sheds
lamps
to
up
her,
there.
Got a lot of
she's gonna
business.
bust them out. That'll
I'm
be
gonna come over again for
valuable,
our
the
50%
property there too.
And look at all the land we have in Bel Air where they could
Quit.
put storage sheds and nobody would mind. We've got lots of land
Put
that would
them out
be
there in the
wonderful
boondocks,
for that.
the storage sheds.
Well, it has to, it takes a zone change, so it has to go through the planning commission and then ultimately
You
to
can
the
come.
council. So there's a process. They can't just buy it and put them in there, so.
Well,
So you
there's
guys
been
will have-
people over there just about every day,
Have they?
last week and this
They're just
week.
gonna
I don't know what
Survey
they're
plow
doing.
down his house or something?
Yes, the house.
They're
is
gonna
built
take
in
the
commercial
business
building.
person, the business
Take
thing
it
in the
out.
front, his house, which the house is not good,
Oh.
and the shed, the big huge
Yeah.
metal building back there in the back. From my understanding and the grandson, they're gonna have an auction and auction everything off, and then they will, propose this sale. But I'd like to see a nice restaurant where families could go and sit down and, or something that, because
Like a
if
village
you
inn.
take all that down, that's gonna be prime land for that corner. I don't know about a restaurant, whether it would hurt Bob and Luigi's and the
Well, a different kind of restaurant.
Yeah.
A sit-down restaurant,
Nice,
a
nice
nice one.
Pizza.
Because I hear realtors tell me that that is something that people look for when they buy a home, you know, they want
They
that
do.
type of thing close by, you know, and we really need that.
We need a
in
gas
Bel Aire.
station too.
Well, we don't need Dylan's out here. They got robbed
What?
Last night.
The one by us?
Saturday night.
Was like
37th and all, Woodlawn got robbed.
time. I was there.
Like
Saturday.
9:30
9:30, somewhere along in there.
Somebody get hurt?
At night
No.
or morning?
night.
Night.
I
And
was
there's been
there.
a lot of times I've had to go to the store and it's been 9 o'clock. I'm not going there anymore after dark.
They went inside or robbed him in the parking lot?
Inside, they went up to the clerk's desk and by the time, he just told the clerk, he said, I have a gun and I want your money.
So she gave it to him?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're obligated to, basically, yeah.
And then they ran out, it was a gentleman and he ran out of the store and jumped
There's
the,
no gentleman.
well, a man,
A guy.
a Hispanic person,
He was a
they
male.
said,
Have they
on
got him?
TV.
I'm very concerned because I think I had.
They
just
did
heard
not
it.
catch him yet.
Ooh.
And they don't know
How
the
did I
amount.
not hear this?
I have a gun, could I please
It was
rob
on the news. 12 and
Yeah, it was on the
10
news.
put it
I
on.
heard that.
I'm a little concerned.
Police cars were all over the place out front. And he jumped the fence and got in a white car and drove away.
So are we done with priorities? So,
I
I'm not
guess.
going shopping tonight. Go
let's
ahead.
move on into 364 days out of the year they're not robbed people.
I know. Well, the bank got robbed, what, when Chief Daley was still here in broad
If
daylight?
you've got money, there's a possibility
This is-
you could get robbed anytime.
It's
Well, you go to the store and they take your quarters out of your car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Huh.
Okay, let's look at marketing, the city mission review. Talk about that. Tom, you've got a
You
couple
know,
options here?
actually, this is one that we came up with as an option, and today, Dr. Becker sent out a list of a whole bunch of them in your email, if you checked your email. I printed copies of them
I
too.
did. Thank you.
So,
Just samples.
yeah,
Where's the copy at?
it should be in your, oh, you brought a package.
I've got
Yeah.
it. Here's a
Okay.
copy,
Thank you.
Betty.
I need a copy too, because evidently I checked my emails too early. I was busy.
This was on my to-do list still.
So if you
So
we don't
what you
have to
did for
decide
me. I
tonight,
just
if you
got
want to take some time
swamped.
and read these.
Well, I've been meaning to do this for a month now.
Me too.
And I've just been so busy I didn't get to it, and then I had to do it this morning, but, you know, the idea, I think now, is to have a very short, concise,
Yes.
mission statement. And I know that I have spent hours and hours and hours in meetings wordsmithing, and I hope we don't do that. I hope we can just decide on something simple and short and lovely, and not
Well,
spend too
I
many.
did like number 8 that you
Me too,
highlighted.
except I want you to add smart.
Oh, okay. That's something we value in this community.
Well, it's something we are.
Mhm.
So a safe, smart, livable, sustainable community.
Should we say intelligence is smart?
It's the S's.
Oh, well, livable's not S. Sorry. I get it now. You wanted,
Huh, okay. I see where you're going.
well, we could add lovable to go with livable.
Would just be safe, smart, and sustainable.
I don't think people will catch it, not being all
A
S's. Sorry.
safe, smart,
I'm just saying,
livable,
I know.
and sustainable.
let's just go with all S's and take out livable.
No, leave livable in.
Livable?
A safe, smart, livable, and sustainable community for our present and future citizens.
I'd like to express at least an opinion on this. I know it's de rigueur to have a mission statement for organizations of all types for the past 20, 30 years at least. I'm against the idea of a mission statement for the city because no matter what you say, at some time in the future, it's going to become irrelevant to the city because whatever we're saying about it is going to change to some degree. And I don't think it's necessary. Now, I'm going to be in the minority, I can tell that. But I want to express that idea anyway so that people know how I feel. I think it's a waste of time.
Well, I think Guy brings up a good point, you know? I mean, we have our city seal.
Well, how many of us
I've
even
worked
knew we
enough-
had one?
Well,
I didn't, and I worked here
you
years.
know, I mean, I've worked for not-for-profits most of my career so far. That's important. Your mission is too.
Can that not
Just-
be our mission statement too then?
That's what I mean,
City, it's
instead of us sitting here and
similar to
arguing
this.
over everything, just.
Well, it's
we
very
got-
similar to this about,
Or is there a real need that we need one for a
Do we
meat
have to
potato
have
mission for, as we do grants or things, or?
When I first found that this long run-on sentence was our mission is after I started here and I was trying to get the budget award and they do want the mission in there. And so I went on a search trying to find it and
So
found
we
that
do
this
need
was
a
it.
mission
And-
statement.
most.
But I don't
should
think
Well,
have
just send
one.
them
it
the
doesn't
city seal
necessarily
picture.
need to be this. It could be
Well, City of the
City of the
Future respects
Future.
what it's past
It
really is not
could
a
be
mission
that.
It
statement.
can
It's
be,
kind of-
really.
That's kind
That's
of
your
looking
motto.
backwards.
So,
But
I don't
usually
know that
this
it's a
is-
requirement.
well,
That's
this
just what
is the
started
kind
me
of the
looking
things
for
you
it.
did in the
So.
80s though, because I'm like Ramona, I've worked at schools and we've done them and done them and done them and we redo them about every 5 to 10 years because it changes. And now we want the kids to be able to just know it. It's up on the wall and they can all just recite it. When, I mean, I went to watch Stuckey and they do it every day after they say it. So I do think it's important to have something that identifies, but I think it needs to be like this, short or that.
Well, I'd go for number 8. That made the most sense to me.
Do you like just leaving our motto, Betty, that we all know?
Yeah, I like that.
Me too,
We worked hard for that. The lady that painted that has passed away now.
I'm sure.
But some people don't like it. So.
I do, I've always liked it.
I mean, would that work, Michelle, if we just, when it asks permission to say our city motto is a city of the future with respect for its past?
No, you have to say our mission
I don't say
statement
one.
and our motto.
Can we just make that a?
You'd have to say both.
I'm kind of with Guy here. I just don't know that we need
It's
to.
I
short
think that's
and sweet.
sufficient. City of the future with respect for the past. It's concise, precise, and it sounds good.
Now,
Somebody
Michelle,
thought about it.
yeah, if you come back and find that, hey, there's $1 million grant, but they want us to have a mission by all means. We'll sit down and talk about it. And I'm kind of a guy now. Why are we, let's,
I think
does that
that's
work though for
fine.
you? That's my main concern is, does that work for?
It's it's up to you guys.
This one, it
Let's
wasn't
just
bad if you
call
just
it
said the
Bob-
city of
Bob's
Bel
your
Air
uncle, let's move
is to
on.
work together
My
properly,
God.
efficiently
I
with all
agree.
citizens to provide a safe, clean, and attractive community, period. That's what I
Yeah,
said
that's
last
what the
time.
second option is.
Exactly,
The
exactly, you
Yeah.
just take off
there,
the.
it's two. The one
Let's
that
just
is
use
there
the
is too
seal. I
wordy.
vote for it.
I agree.
Should we put that on the next agenda? Sure. And we thank Ty for all this work, coming up with
It's
possibilities, and we're going everything up with all
Ramona did
these,
it all.
okay?
It didn't take me long to do that.
Copy paste,
Is
copy
this the Maple
paste.
Right.
Ridge like here in Wichita out there?
I beg your
Is this-
pardon?
Is
Are
this
you
the
okay
Maple
with
Ridge community
Yeah,
out here in
okay.
Wichita?
No, I don't think so. I just got
It's
this
in our
off.
I don't know
Okay,
where
so-
the old one came
So
from.
Ramona, you
no
did put a
idea.
lot of work in this. Are you,
I
Oh,
don't
no,
know.
Talk to
no,
us, or we-
I just
Probably
felt
back in
like
when
I
we
had
first
a responsibility
were in
to
the fire
do a little bit
station,
of
I
research.
guess.
And so I
Found
did,
it in
and
personnel
the ones I
policy.
liked are the very short ones, as you can tell.
Yes.
The two I liked, this one, connected, healthy, vibrant, strong. I thought that was really cool because it's so short and yet powerful, you know? But I have no strong feelings about this whatsoever. Like I say, I've kind of been burned out on writing mission statements.
yeah, if not, I mean, I'm fine with number 8, I'm fine with our motto.
Uh-huh, either
I'm
one.
fine with the motto thingy. Just
Okay.
leave it as that.
Keep number 8 in your desk drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah, in case we
Yeah,
have
Okay.
to.
right.
There you go, good
That'd
job.
be a bad.
Real bad.
You're not a minority, see?
We'll just add the words that the city of Bel Air.
Well, that's why I wanted to
mission
ask
is
that.
It wasn't
be
a
the
lot
city
of
of the
work.
future.
It was
Okay.
just look it up, copy, paste,
Good
send it
deal.
out.
Okay, let's talk about Providence
Whatever you
Realty
do is
then.
fine.
That was easy.
Okay.
This is Katie Wyatt, is Providence Realty, and she is marketing back here. It's called the Village area. So it's the ones where the bungalow houses are, kind of across from the pool.
Beautiful.
And she built a spec home there, and you could stop and tour it.
I did.
It's nice. It fits in real well there, and her goal is to sell that and then build another spec. There was about 9 lots over there in just that area, and she was, for the last year, she's been marketing those. She'd like to continue that. I did just last, it was either Friday or Monday, Rick Hoffman, who's building the villas, he's building a lot of those townhomes in the villas, wants to build some over here too, and so he wants to purchase 5 lots, which only leaves about 4 left.
Yay.
So this will change a little bit because there's not 9 over there, but there's 4. And if you're comfortable allowing her to continue, she'd like to market the whole area, but our Crown 3 doesn't expire till I think July 1, I think. But so anyway, hers is expiring now. So if you'd like for her to continue doing that, then we can just have this on the agenda, and you could renew that if you're comfortable doing that. And then when the one for Crown 3's up, we could talk about that, and at that point do whatever we want to do.
Sounds fine with me. I think they did what they said they were gonna do, and we've got a nice home there now for
Katie's
sale.
built 2 homes, she's marketing it, she's involved in the
She
community.
needs to put some shrubs or something in there.
I'm not gonna complain about shrubs.
Well,
She's
grass.
I would like to ask about this because, in our community, in our neighborhood, we're very picky about that. And I just wondered, when they do homes in Central Park, do they do the landscaping before they sell it? After they sell it?
It depends how they, sometimes the builders will put it in, sometimes they'll put it afterwards. Now, there are covenants that require that they have a certain number of trees and, that kind of stuff. So, so it's gonna be either her, or if she sells it, someone's gonna have to put that in.
But
because
they've
she
got
did
like
have
a
to.
year to put that in, right?
I think
The
it's a matter
grass
of
and the
months.
shrubs
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
not
tree.
sure. Yeah, they've got some time. I don't remember
There
how
is
long
some
it
stipulation in
is.
the covenant.
Well, I'm curious about it because I think there's 3 or 4 houses. Most of the yards in Central Park are just beautiful. But there's 3 or 4 that haven't done anything, and they're right on the main thoroughfare going into the, and I think that gives a very bad impression to people that are looking for homes in there, and I just wondered, can't the HOA enforce that?
Yeah, that would be
Again.
their job.
Yeah.
Why haven't
They're
they
supposed
done
to.
that?
I don't know, and maybe I can mention that to them.
I think we need to really work on that, because I know that in our neighborhood, if they don't put in the landscaping that they are required to do,
God bless you.
we put it in for them, and then we send them the bill.
Uh-huh.
And I think that needs to be done.
And I think that's in the covenants
That's, oh,
there
it
too.
is.
So we just need the HOA.
I wonder why they aren't enforcing that,
Who's the
because
president now of this HOA?
I don't know. I know
They
it's
had an
changed.
election, I know.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the
Well,
well, it's
president
no
is.
fun to do things like that, but you know what? It affects homeowners. You're not gonna wanna build a home or buy a home in a neighborhood that doesn't have what you're expecting for the price of that home, And so I think we need to find out why those homes haven't been landscaped over there. I think now that we're getting so much activity out here, and like these weeks when they have the parade of homes and we've got all these beautiful places, why are there 3 or 4 that aren't taken care of properly?
Yeah. Yep, I'll find out who's in the president.
Okay.
I've got a question here. Katie sent the mayor and the city manager and council members a letter dated April 4th. 1, 2, 3. In the 4th paragraph, there's something that to me is inconsistent. It said LLC did, please note that Providence Realty LLC did not receive the listings until March 2015. Okay, that's clear. And the spec home build did not break ground until the end of 2015. So that would be December of 2015. The next sentence is what concerns me. The spec home construction lasted 6 months. The following sentence is inconsistent. The spec home has been used as a sales center for Central Park since February 20th, 2016. That's 2 months versus, or 2+ months versus 6 months. I'm not complaining about it, I'm saying that it should be corrected, or I'm misinterpreting something.
I
I
didn't
can
catch
actually-
it either.
Well, I can actually speak to it because, and like I just pulled it up on Realtor.com, and she's got all the homes up here. The one she's talking about there, because I actually went in and talked to her. They had not finished the home, but there was a little table and an office in there, so it was.
There was
But-
a roof already constructed.
Yeah, but like the kitchen didn't have countertops yet. And then maybe, you know, those are still going on. And I'm sure if she were to meet a client, but that way she could walk them through and you could see it was framed, but, you know, carpet wasn't in at one point. And so I'm speaking for her and forgive me for that without her permission, but
So
that's,
she's counting September or October as the end, where we're probably thinking,
yeah, because it was this.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
with
the
you.
end of the year, at December. you know.
me too,
You know.
but she has to be counting September and October to do your 6 months to open it over.
Yeah.
I'm with you, I would think.
Okay, I just found it inconsistent, I'm not against the idea, I found it inconsistent, and that
The
was
developer
my
I used to work
observation.
for
Pardon me?
had what we called Esty Shoe, you know, openings and what have you. I mean, and even when the model homes were not done and that type of thing, people could go into them, as long as they were closed in enough to be safe to have those. People loved them, you know, and then they would buy one, I want one like this, only I want it over here. So it's a great marketing
So
tool.
kind of like what I, okay, so that, what do they call that again? Dusty shoe?
Dusty shoe,
Yeah. I haven't been swept.
or
clean.
muddy,
Yeah.
or
Well,
muddy
it was a mess.
shoe, depending on,
Whether it's raining or not.
yeah. So,
All right, I'll have that on the agenda.
So that means we're done?
I think so.
I just-
I've
Everything else.
got one, I got one more thing.
and I have a question also,
Okay.
different, him first.
The tree, I used to be a member of the tree board, I can't be a member now because I'm the council, but I attend all their meetings. So, we have this survivor tree program, and it was suggested that perhaps this year, on Arbor Day, we could donate a tree to the Sedgwick County Fire Department and plant that tree on Woodlawn there, I think it's number 36 or something like 37. 37. And so I wrote a letter to the Sedgwick County Fire Chief, and I didn't get a response. Then I got a telephone response from Bill, I can't think of his last name now. Anyway, he was a fire chief. And and the message said, "We've gotten everything approved. It's a great deal. We're going to make a big deal out of it." So now there's a lot of things I had to ask in a personal conversation. Primarily, where are the utilities located, and who is going to, and can we call the utilities and have them map where they are, and then can we have permission from the county for the city of Bel Aire to go on county property, dig a hole, and plant a tree? And so I left 2 messages and didn't receive an answer to either. And so I won't comment on that. I'll just say that after that occurred, I talked to Gary Northwall, who was president of the tree board, and said, I'm going to go up on Monday. I talked to him last week. I'm going to go up on Monday and see if I can talk to somebody about these issues. And so I was directed to an assistant, and then we went to somebody's office who weren't there, ended up speaking to the fire marshal. And the fire marshal, his name is Daniel Wegner, fire marshal. And he said basically, essentially, that Robert C. Timmons is the division chief, and he's in charge of this whole program. And so I'm speaking to Fire Marshal Wegner, and he says, well, and you're on the agenda for Wednesday. And I said, what agenda? For what? And he said,
As in tomorrow?
as in tomorrow.
Sedgwick County,
and-
right?
And this was, and he said, the BOCC. Well, I'm thinking BOCC, Fire Department, I'm not thinking Board of County Commissioners. I'm thinking, I said, I don't understand. I said, here's my calendar. I said, I don't have anything down there except I got a busy day tomorrow, a really busy day. And I started, he said, well, it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. I said, well, most of my stuff's in the afternoon. I might be able to make it, but if I can't, I'll call Gary Northwall. So, there I am, and we're on the podium tomorrow. We're number 3, as a matter of fact, out of 2 other fire department things. Now, I don't know if it's really going to be a Board of County Commissioners meeting.
It
or
is.
whether it is.
On Wednesday.
Okay, well then, the fire department is making their presentation to the Board of County Commissioners. And so I asked Gary if we could go together, and maybe there's a fellow named Fred Kabbalah, who is a former fireman in the city of Wichita for 20 plus years. Prior to that, he was in Chicago as a fireman. So he said yes, but I just got a call this afternoon, he can't make it tomorrow morning.
So Fred would be the perfect one to go.
Yeah, he would have been. So tomorrow, we're going to be Gary Northwall and I, and Gary said, I'm not going to speak. I said, they probably won't ask any of us to speak, they'll just be happy we're there. But if I have to speak, I will, because I know the story, I can give it to them concisely. So that is what is happening, and I asked Gary to call Dave Leiker and find out if he could. I told him he had permission to call the people that do the utility markings, and also he had permission to plant a tree. And Dave said, well, I can't do that for that area. I've got to have, some more precise place. I said, well, it's not much. I said, on the north side of the driveway. And Gary said, well, he would like us to put some stakes in where we want to do it. I said, okay, we'll do that. So we'll probably do that tomorrow. And I guess Dave will call these other people and they'll mark the utilities. And if there's a utility there, then we'll have to move it to some other place.
Yeah.
But anyway, the event for the planting for Arbor Day is April 29th, which is a Friday, which is the actual National Arbor Day. Traditionally, here in Bel Aire, we have moved it to the following Saturday so that we could have people respond to Arbor Day, those people who are interested in the event. But because it's a Friday, I thought, and the board thought, that Friday would be a good day because all the firemen will be working. And this guy, the fire marshal, said, we're going to make a big deal out of this.
That's
Nice.
Big deal. So I expect county commissioners, I expect maybe even Wichita, perhaps not, but I think as many members of this council and mayor and city manager and whatever staff would like to attend, I think that would be,
What time
be a
Friday?
good event. 10 a.m. on Friday the 29th.
Thank you for telling us, and thank you
Yeah.
for doing
Yeah,
that.
and
That's
I just
awesome.
found out about it yesterday.
Be sure, they'll stamp your, I've been to county commissions, be sure you get your stamp.
Yeah, I will.
Because
For free
parking garage is
parking.
expensive.
Yeah. The parking garage to the north.
That's where you park, yeah. We can watch you live on Channel 8, if we
Oh,
have Cox.
Channel
Channel
7.
No,
Okay.
it's,
Not for county, county's
Oh.
8.
It's been on
County
Channel
is-
7,
It's
okay.
been on Channel 7.
which I was
Oh.
going to ask about.
They sent it to us to put on our channel.
Okay.
Yeah, but
It's a
the live
replay.
is on
So
PBS.
Channel 8, it is on Channel 8.
It's
yeah.
live on Channel 8, and then they rebroadcast it on Channel 7. Because
Yeah.
I've seen it, but it's not on Wednesdays.
Right,
Like
yeah, so
I-
the live one's on
Yes.
PBS. KPTS.
Okay,
I
so on
was-
Friday, on Wednesday? it'll be-
Tomorrow, you'll be live.
Okay, and your students can watch?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yay. Live.
Diane,
We're
you
gonna
said you had a
go
question?
guide.
I do.
I'm proud of you, that's awesome.
And this is not an earth-shattering question, but I'm wondering, since I managed to get this brand-new street by my house, was there a separate contractor doing the lawn repair kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't remember who the contractor was on the street. Do you remember who that was? But they
I'd have to
hire a different
Andale,
company.
it was Andale.
Well, yeah, Andale was.
Was it a
built
concrete
this-
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Built Edgemore,
Yeah.
kind of thing, but,
Yeah,
you know,
they-
then when they left, of course, because they
They
changed
usually have a
the,
subcontractor.
do you know who that is? Because they did a really job.
No, because we wouldn't have paid the subcontractor directly, but I can look, and if I
Yeah.
can't find it in an invoice, we can have Ann contact Andale and
Do we
find
have
out.
Yeah, we
problems
can
on
Who they
the
use.
street with yards? You had to tell us
Were
about
they,
that.
were they never,
Yeah.
yeah,
They were
Trouble
late
with the
getting.
they said they're gonna come back and put in
They're gonna-
sod or
Yeah, I
something.
feel like we've looked into this in the past, I just don't know if it's that
That's still-
project.
Well, they
specifically.
came.
That's all
Is
taken
it
care of.
your
in
yard?
the time.
Came recently and, you know, of course I wasn't home when they came, but they sprayed on something that basically looks like sewage.
Okay.
And there's no grass growing and it's, or unless it would be under this crust, because it's a crust.
I think that's
Could
what
be
they
what
do
it is,
sometimes
yeah.
when they put their.
Is it brown?
Protect it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, we haven't had any rain, so we have to water the
protection.
daylights out of it.
thing that they spray on top of your seeds or whatever.
I've
And
seen
it
'em.
dissolves in the ground.
It is ugly.
Well, and it hasn't dissolved a bit. It's been rained on. It was rained on the other morning.
Yeah, we can look into
I
it.
think
Yeah.
it takes a while.
We'll have Ann come out and look at it, and then she
Well,
can find
and I
out.
looked
where-
up I looked up the street too, and, you
Just
know,
send
and
a
across the street from me, and again, theirs just looks terrible, and I don't really care, I'll go out there eventually, and if we need a little more rain before I can dig and goof around with it, but I have Bermuda out there, so,
Oh, okay. I'll take care of it.
you know,
Yeah,
once
okay.
once
It'll
it gets-
spread once it gets hot.
It's,
Uh-huh.
you know, but I'm not quite sure what that stuff is, so, you know.
It's a protection type, I can't remember what they call it, but it's a protection thing so that the seed doesn't
Blow
Doesn't erode away.
and
It's
doesn't
kind of
run
like blow,
away.
it's kind of like blowing a
I don't think
pasty
there's any seed.
seed bed on there
Yeah.
that sticks.
How long has it been down?
Couple weeks now.
Oh, you're gonna have that for a lot more longer than that. Because I've seen it over there when they did Kennewi and Gunnison. That lady on Kennewi, she had that stuff in her yard for almost 3 months. But
Before it
it's-
started
Before
germinating?
it started dissolving or whatever. And the other day I went by there and it's beautiful.
Well, good. Got something to look forward
Water
to.
the daylights out of it.
Obviously, yeah, it really
All right.
doesn't matter because my
Hers
Bermuda
was-
will take
Wanted to
over.
remind you
Yeah,
guys.
right.
Yeah, anything else we need to bring up
Yeah,
real quick?
I'm gonna be gone next week. I fly out with
So you're missing.
50 of us, yeah, 36 eighth graders.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
rest, yeah.
I do not want to be on that plane.
We're going to DC, it'll be fun.
Give
I
me a
went last
screaming
year as a
baby over
sponsor, too.
46
I'm pretty excited.
junior
It's
high
fun.
girls.
Well, we've got lots of parents too.
Okay,
So
all right.
it'll be good, but I won't be here Tuesday.
All right. Thank you for the reminder. Anything else?
And I may be gone. I think my flight is supposed to get in
Uh-oh.
May the 3rd.
Okay, Betty guy.
You're gone next week
You
too?
guys,
I'm gonna bribe you. How much you gonna pay me to come?
We just got that
we
on
could get a
tape.
Tuesday off.
We're talking about the 19th, right?
Yeah,
She's bribing.
I'm there.
all right.
Lord willing, I'll be there.
Doesn't look
Me
like too
too.
crazy, so. All right,
Motion to adjourn?
let's do it.
Second.
Oh, okay, I was gonna ask you, is that